I begin with the myth of the evil king Minos. He was a tyrannical ruler whose son was murdered over his athletic ability by jealous Athenians. This caused Minos to wage war on Athens. However, King Minos offered a trade of in total 14 young Athenian men and women every 9 years to the Minotaur, a vicious creature enclosed in a labyrinth, in exchange for peace. This went on for some time until his heartbroken daughter, Ariadne, decided to put an end to it. Since no one was able to return from the creature's lair, Ariadne gave her lover, Theseus, a ball of yarn to travel with as a guide to lead him back. He was able to reach the Minotaur and slay it, but in the process, sacrificed himself. King Minos reached his painful demise when the daughter of the king of Agrigentum poured boiling hot water on him while he was bathing. Both of these princesses took matters into their own hands, displaying strength, and were praised for the actions that they took. According to art historian Christopher Whitcomb, depictions and records of Minoan women vastly outnumber men in the Isle of Crete. He theorizes that this is due largely to the predominant part women played in ceremony, socioeconomics, government, and lineage. I discovered that family lines were traced using the matrilineal system, tracked through the mother or maternal ancestors. This hints at the possibility of a matriarchal-led society, a relatively unheard of concept throughout most of history. In this image, we see a good depiction of matriarchy, because what seems to be the mother or the eldest female is the most defined. Goddesses were so prevalent in this time because of the position women held within ritual circumstance and religious practices. For example, the snake goddess. The handling of snakes was very important in Minoan religion for many reasons, but the way it was able to shape its body in a cord-like fashion resembled the umbilical cord, the connection between a source of life and a new one entirely. This goddess of fertility was the most worshipped deity in Minoan culture because women's ability to give birth was seen as sacred and critical. In this imagery, we see ritualistic hand-raising by goddesses and priestesses who seem to be calling upon someone. The idea that the arm-raising represents female reproductive organs is also an explored thought. It could also very well be imitating the shape of cattle horns of consecration, a sacred sign in Crete. Any of these options indicate a strong influence priestesses and goddesses had on art. This bust is of Minoan goddess Artemis or Thea, otherwise known as Putnia Therone, meaning mistress of animals. I find this title Putnia interesting because it is said to have been later changed to the male god Poseidon in patriarchal Greek religion. Here we see Artemis with her twin brother Apollo. Artemis was also known as the goddess of the hunt, wild animals, wilderness, childbirth, and virginity. This is a drawing of a labrys, also known as the double axe. The labrys is repeatedly shown in Minoan art and is considered to be an unspecified goddess in butterfly form. The butterfly is a beautiful creature that represents life, death, and rebirth, bringing us back to the idea of sacred fertility. The double axe was believed to be used for the ritual sacrifice of the bull, an honor only performed by women. The Toreador fresco from the palace at Knossos depicts women and men bull leaping. Both are athletes, but women were painted white and men red. Women were colored lighter possibly because of sexual preference of the time, not necessarily unequal. From my research, I can attribute the reverence of the bull in part to the myth of Ariadne and the Minotaur. Other depictions show how dangerous bull leaping could be, illustrating women could be just as strong, if not stronger, as their male counterparts. My conclusion is largely based on 3 elements: artistic depictions of the Minoan era, existing myth attributed to the time period, and historical research that I compiled for this film. Based on these elements, I make the reasonable assumption that women were important, if not instrumental, to the thriving and historical significance of Minoan culture.